Hey, welcome back everybody. Welcome back, and I'm glad you're back with me. You're here with Cooking Vegan with Vicki. Ooh, goodness me. And this is my channel that is for vegan dishes. Just wanted to show everybody how you can change almost any dish into a vegan dish. And this is a safe place for vegans and non-vegans. Just here for some really great recipes. So for today, I do love all different types of food. I hope you guys do too. And I know I've been doing a lot of sweet recipes lately, so now we're gonna go back to savory for a little bit. And this recipe was provided to me from one of my friends, and it is butter chicken made with tofu. And so what we're gonna do is, the first step we're gonna do is we're gonna actually bake our tofu. So I'm just gonna bring you down with me. There we go. So we're just gonna cut the tofu just into 1/2-inch strips. And then what we're going to do, just to kind of give it a more chickeny look, or just that butter chicken kind of look, we're just gonna pull it apart into pieces. Now we love Indian food, and we have quite a few great recipes here. Restaurants here in Chicago. But this recipe is so delicious. My husband just couldn't even believe that I was able to reproduce any of those flavors that we've been having at our favorite restaurant. There's a great restaurant right by UIC here. Very economical, but the food is delicious. And one of my friends actually told me about this recipe. This recipe is actually from Nora Cooks. And I've changed it just a little bit, but it's mostly Nora's recipe. And so easy to get that flavor. So what we have is we have our tofu in a bowl. And then to that, we're just gonna lightly coat it with a little bit of olive oil. I don't go too crazy on the olive oil. I just like a little bit of coating, just so that we're going to toss in some arrowroot starch. You could use cornstarch, whatever you have. Okay. And we just want to give it a little something to stick to. So now I've already preheated my oven to 400 degrees. We're going to toss just a little bit of salt in here. Okay, I would say 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then we're gonna put in, about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. And then we're gonna toss this. And this cornstarch is going to crisp it up a little bit and give it a nice coating. So what we're gonna first do is we're gonna cook our tofu. It takes about 1/2 hour at 400 degree oven. So now we're just going to toss it around. Try to get that arrowroot starch to stick to it. And even if you want to skip this step, I have before, and it turns out fine. It's just not as crispy, and it gives it a better texture because you're going to put it in the butter sauce. Okay, there we go. So now I'm just going to add this on top of my silpat. So I'm using a silpat, so I don't have to always grease my pans. You can tell by looking at it how much I use it. It's just saving a step on parchment paper. I mean, there are places for parchment paper when you need it. But other than that, these silpats are great for anything that you're cooking in the oven. And we kind of want everything just to be a little bit separated so that the air can flow around it. You can also throw this into your air fryer and air fry it. I would probably think 8 minutes, give or take, at about 400. So we're gonna put this in the oven at 400. So we've got our tofu in the oven, and it'll be ready in about 30 minutes. So in the meantime, I'm actually gonna make my rice to serve with my butter chicken. And so I've just rinsed, this is white rice. I do white rice, brown rice, whatever kind of I'm in the mood for. So this is my white rice. I'm doing 1 cup of white rice, excuse me. And I've learned a trick with the Instant Pot It's actually a ratio of 1 to 1. So 1 cup of water and 1 cup of rice. And that should give you the perfect fluffy rice. So I'm going to put it on my slow cooker, just bring you down here. I've got it sealed. And then I'm actually going to do manual because I only want it for 8 minutes. And then we are all set. So once our tofu is almost ready, we're going to make our butter sauce. Hey there, so we're back. So the dinger just went off and the tofu is ready. So we're gonna start making the sauce. So I'm gonna bring you down to the stove top because this is where all the action is gonna be happening. Okay, so in our pot we have 2 tablespoons of vegan butter. And let me just turn this on. And then to this we're going to be adding 1 large diced small onion. So we've got the butter in there. It's just starting to melt. I'm going to put the onions in. We're going to lightly saute these because we do want them to be cooked through. So our onions are cooking away here. Oh, it smells really good in here. It's going to smell even better in a few minutes. We're adding to this, we're going to add in 2 cloves of minced garlic. And I like garlic, so I'm doing 2. I'm using the pre-chopped stuff this time. Fresh is always awesome. Okay, and then we're also going to grate in 1 tablespoon of fresh ginger. So now what I use is I use a microplane. Makes it much easier. And I actually freeze my ginger, so I peel it and I put it in a Ziploc bag or a reusable bag and I just stick it in my freezer. That way it's always ready to go. It actually makes it so much easier to grate, cut, or anything straight out of the freezer. And then you don't have to worry about trying to peel it. I think the best way to peel ginger is with a spoon. Seems to work the easiest. And we're ballpark, you know, for the 1 tablespoon. That does not want to come off for me. Okay. So we're just going to let this simmer for a couple more minutes. Let the onions and the garlic and the ginger kind of marry. And then to that, we're going to be adding our spices. Now, again, this recipe is very easy. And it's all actually, most ingredients you would probably have in your house. And if you don't, the only 2 that I would suggest that you do need are garam masala and the ground coriander. Those are what adds that beautiful, fragrant butter sauce. So we're going to add 1 tablespoon of garam masala, 1 teaspoon of curry powder, a teaspoon of ground coriander, and 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I put a little bit more than 1/4 teaspoon, and a teaspoon of salt. So just adjust to your own flavoring. If you like it much hotter, add more cayenne pepper. So now what we want to do is kind of bloom the spices in with the butter and let it kind of cook. Oh my goodness, it smells so good in here. Okay, so now we've got that blooming a little bit. It's cooking off. And to that, and our recipe is almost over, believe it or not. To that, we are adding 1 can of coconut milk. And this is the full fat coconut milk. There we go. And we're going to add in 3 ounces of tomato paste. Don't know if you can see that. And so these come in 6-ounce cans. So what I normally do is we're gonna use half the can. See how that math worked there for us? So we're going to use half the can, so I'm going to put half the can in. And then what I normally do is take the rest of the can, either put it in an ice cube tray, or I actually prefer doing it in a Ziploc bag or a silicone bag, smushing it so it's nice and flat. It it freezes very quickly, and then it also thaws very quickly. So that way when the next time you need 3 ounces, you know that one's already going to be 3 ounces. But even if you're opening a can and it calls for 1 tablespoon or something like that, if you lay it flat and freeze it out, it will actually be perfect. You can just break off a piece when you need another tablespoon. So we're just incorporating all of this, and we're going to bring it back up to a boil a little bit because we want to cook this through. And we're going to simmer this for 5 to 10 minutes because we want everything to melt together and be this deliciousness. Okay, so that's been simmering for about 10 minutes now. Oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. I don't know if you can see how thick and luscious it is. And the smell in here is to die for. So we're just gonna now add our tofu. We've taken that out of the oven. We're just going to, it's nice and crispy, so it's gonna lend that kind of chicken texture when it's added to the sauce. This is even better the next day. Now I like a lot of sauce. You could do more tofu if you want. I prefer it very saucy. That's right, saucy girl. So now we're gonna take that, it's all set to go, and we're going to serve it. So our rice is ready. Let me get a good scooper because I want to be able to get tofu out of here. I don't know if you can see how delicious this is. Now, if you've enjoyed this recipe, there we go. Hi, I'm back. So if you have enjoyed this recipe, please subscribe. Just hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified every time I upload a new recipe. And there you go. We have a gorgeous butter chicken and it is smelling fabulous. Thank you again. Again, if you like these videos, subscribe, share, like, and we'll see you soon.